8-year-long civil and criminal probe in the United States, 4-year-long import ban on its manufacturing facilities here in India for supplies to the US, admissions to felony charges, a $500 million settlement fine, and a very strict consent decree. But with all this, are the troubles over for Ranbaxy? We are joined here by Mr. Arun Sawhney, Managing Director of Ranbaxy, to talk about what the company went through and the road ahead. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sawhney, for talking to CNBC TV 18. Are the troubles over for Ranbaxy here? We understand there is a fresh probe that has been ordered by the Drug Controller General of India here in the manufacturing facilities for Ranbaxy. What are the sort of dialogues are you having with the Drug Controller now?
I recognize that there were issues in the past. I can assure you that Ranbaxy has taken all measures to make sure that they don't recur again in the future. We have invested more than $300 million since 2009 in upgrading our facilities, making sure that there are good systems and procedures in place, training people, hiring the best consultants in the world to build skill sets at Ranbaxy. Also, I'm not aware of any probe being ordered by local authorities on Ranbaxy.
But we understand they are in constant dialogue with the company and they have initiated a probe.
I have meetings, regular meetings with all the stakeholders, including the government. We are cooperating with them. We provide all information that is requested of us. We will be happy to provide all information that any government agency is seeking from us.
If we go back to the settlement that you've signed with the USFDA, you have agreed that you issued adulterated drugs between 2005 and 2006 in the US. You've agreed that one of these drugs, Sotrit, it had failed accelerated dissolution stability test, but you continued selling it for another 13 months. You've accepted that gabapentin in 2007, certain batches for testing out of specifications had unknown impurities and would not maintain shelf life. These were also some of the drugs that were sold in India also at that point in time. How would Ranbaxy claim, and with what certainty, that the drugs that were sold in India were not adulterated and substandard as you have accepted in the US?
A pharmaceutical company is expected to operate under CGMP conditions. CGMP stands for Current Good Manufacturing Practices. In Ranbaxy context, the delayed testing of stability data was a non-GMP activity. So the data that was generated out of delayed stability testing was a non-GMP data. The drugs that were put on the market in the US at that time, based on delayed testing of stability samples data, were described as adulterated. Does that make the drugs in the US substandard or contaminated or spurious? The clear answer is no. The definition of the word adulterated in the US context is very different from the definition of the drug as adulterated in the Indian context. So we have to understand.
Sir, if I may just interrupt, in the press release of Department of Justice, they have said that when companies sell adulterated drugs, they undermine the integrity of FDA's approval process and may cause patients to take drugs that are substandard, ineffective, or unsafe.
But in Ranbaxy context, the adulteration was because of the data that was generated on delayed testing of stability samples. That was the context relevant to Ranbaxy.
You have accepted that you were selling drugs which had failed stability testing, which were testing out of specification, had unknown impurities. Doesn't that lead to drugs which would eventually may not be harmful or unsafe, but may be ineffective?
Yeah. We have on record FDA advising the patients in the US to continue taking Ranbaxy drugs because they discovered Ranbaxy drugs were of good quality. So there was nothing wrong with the quality of the drugs in the US. There was, I'm repeating, the expression adulterated has a definite meaning in the US context, which is not the same as in India or anywhere else in the world.
Correct, but in the 2008 press release, FDA had mentioned, and I'm just quoting them, that while this action does not involve removing products from the market, FDA has no evidence to date that Ranbaxy has shipped defective products. So at that point in time, to date, they did not have enough evidence.
And
but obviously, in 2013, when you signed the settlement, in that meantime, the probe they had come across all the issues that have been highlighted in the current press statement.
It is the delayed testing of the stability samples and delayed information that was provided to FDA. That was it. FDA, since 2008, we have not shipped any product from Devas or Ponta to the US. In 2008, FDA has gone on record telling that Ranbaxy drugs are safe, there is no issue with the quality of the drugs. We have taken all measures since then to ensure that the issues that we were facing way back in 2004 and 5 are not faced again.
Agree, but there has been a case of outright fraud by the company at that point in time, which you have agreed in your statements to the USFDA and Department of Justice. That is the story for the US. The same plants were supplying those drugs in India and continue to supply drugs in India. How do you convince the people here? How do you convince the consumers here in India? You have a public interest litigation filed against Ranbaxy. You have hospitals which are taking independent action, advising their doctors to take caution before they advise Ranbaxy drugs.
We have signed consent decree with FDA. We have settled with US DOJ. In case of FDA, we will go through the consent decree process. And once we go through the consent decree process, we will be back in business from Devas and Ponta in the future. In case of DOJ, we provided in 2011 and took a big knock in 2011. 2012, we performed ahead of expectations. In 2013, we were performing as per our targets, and we remain firm on our guidance of $120 billion rupees in 2013. We have very aggressive growth plans for Ranbaxy also in the US, in India. We have key markets, key therapeutic areas. We have continued to make investments in our manufacturing. We have very exciting portfolio in our R&D. And above all, I also have a team that will execute on all these plans. So this is the implication of the DOJ and FDA. Okay. Now I come to the question on hospitals. By and large, in India, all hospitals are prescribing Ranbaxy drugs. I respect internal processes of all the hospitals. I will provide continuously information that they seek to build confidence in Ranbaxy drugs and Ranbaxy medicines. And I am sure that they will continue to prescribe, as they have been doing up till now, Ranbaxy medicine.
If we talk about falsification,